If you're watching this right now, there's a good chance you've been carrying more than anyone can see. Not in a dramatic way, just quietly, the kind of weight that doesn't show up on the outside but settles deep in your chest. Responsibilities that never really end, expectations you learned to meet without complaint, years that somehow passed faster than you imagined they would. Maybe you're still doing what needs to be done, showing up, holding things together. From the outside, everything looks fine, but inside, something feels heavier than it used to, tired in a way rest doesn't always fix. This moment isn't here to change you or push you to do more. You don't need fixing. It's simply a pause, a gentle reminder that you're allowed to feel what you feel, that carrying so much for so long leaves a mark, and that acknowledging the weight is not weakness, it's honesty. Sometimes, peace begins the moment we stop pretending we're okay all the time, when we allow ourselves to breathe, even for a few seconds, without needing to explain or perform. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, even if you've never said it out loud, this space is for you. You're not alone, and you don't have to carry everything by yourself all the time. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned that being strong meant staying silent. We learned to push through discomfort, to keep our worries to ourselves, to smile and say, "I'm fine," even when something inside us felt worn down. Strength, we were told, was about endurance, about not slowing down, not complaining, not letting anyone see the cracks. So you worked hard, you showed up, you did what needed to be done. You did it for your family, for your job, for the people who depended on you. Day after day, year after year, you carried responsibility like a second skin, and maybe no one ever asked how heavy it felt, or maybe they did and you didn't know how to answer. Because how do you explain a kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix? A weariness that settles deep in the bones, not from lack of rest, but from decades of holding everything together. There comes a moment, often quietly, when the body slows before the mind is ready, when the heart grows tired of pretending everything is fine. You might notice it while sitting alone in your car before going inside the house, or in the early morning when the world is still quiet and the weight of the day ahead feels heavier than it used to. These moments can feel confusing, even frightening. You might wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I handle things like I used to? But here is the truth we don't say often enough. That feeling doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. A human who has lived, who has given more than they realized, who has carried responsibility for a long time without asking for much in return. We don't talk enough about how strength can slowly turn into exhaustion when it's never met with rest or understanding. We praise resilience, but we rarely talk about the cost. We celebrate independence, but we forget how lonely it can feel to never lean on anyone else. Over time, silence becomes a habit, and habits shape how we treat ourselves. You may have spent years taking care of others, listening, fixing, supporting, providing. You may have been the one people relied on, the steady presence, the calm voice in a crisis. But somewhere along the way, you stopped asking the most important question of all: how am I doing? Not, am I keeping up? Not, am I being productive? But how am I really doing? That question can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, because answering it honestly requires slowing down. It requires listening to feelings you may have ignored for a long time. It may bring up grief, disappointment, or a quiet sadness you never made space for, and that can be hard, but it can also be deeply healing. There is courage in acknowledging your limits. There is wisdom in recognizing when you need gentleness instead of pressure. You don't lose your strength by admitting you're tired. You deepen it, because real strength isn't about carrying everything alone. It's about knowing when to set something down. As we grow older, life invites us into a different kind of strength, one that is softer, quieter, and more honest, a strength that allows rest without guilt, that allows emotion without shame, that understands life is not meant to be survived at full speed. If you're feeling tired in a way you can't explain, you don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to push harder. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. What you may need is permission. Permission to slow down, to feel, to breathe, to be human. So let this be that permission. You are not weak for feeling this way. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are someone who has lived deeply, cared greatly, and carried a lot, often without being seen. And that deserves compassion, especially from yourself. If you're here, listening to these words, take a moment. Let your shoulders soften. Take a slow breath. Ask yourself gently, without judgment, how am I doing today? Whatever the answer is, it's allowed. Life was never meant to feel this rushed. And yet, here we are. The world has grown louder over the years, louder in sounds, louder in expectations, louder in the constant demand to respond, perform, achieve, and keep up. Our phones buzz before we're fully awake. Our calendars fill weeks in advance. Even our quiet moments are interrupted by the feeling that we should be doing something else. For many of us, especially those who've lived a few decades, this pace feels unfamiliar, unnatural, exhausting in a way that sleep alone doesn't fix. And sometimes we quietly wonder if we're the problem, if we've fallen behind, if we've lost our edge. But what if the truth is simpler than that? Your nervous system was not designed for endless urgency. It was built for slower days, for conversations that didn't hurry toward conclusions, for long pauses, for mornings that unfolded gently without pressure waiting at the door. It was built for connection, not constant stimulation. There was a time when life moved differently. You might remember it. Evenings when people sat on porches just to watch the sky change colors, meals that took time, work that ended when the sun went down, rest that didn't need to be justified. Somewhere along the way, speed became a virtue, busy became a badge of honor, and rest, real rest, started to feel like something we had to earn. But the body remembers. It remembers what it feels like to be calm, to feel safe, to move without rushing. That's why when life accelerates beyond what we can handle, our bodies push back, through fatigue, through tension, through anxiety that seems to appear out of nowhere. If you feel out of place in this pace, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something is wrong with the speed we've normalized. Even nature understands this. Trees don't grow all year. Fields don't bloom endlessly. Animals don't apologize for resting. There are seasons for expansion and seasons for stillness, seasons for growth and seasons for restoration. No part of nature lives at full speed forever, because it wouldn't survive if it did, and neither can we. Yet many of us have spent years pushing through seasons that were meant for rest, ignoring the quiet signals, telling ourselves we'll slow down after this phase, after this responsibility, after things settle down. But life doesn't settle on its own. We have to choose when to soften. Slowing down doesn't mean stepping away from life. It means stepping back into it more fully, more honestly. It means allowing yourself to listen to your own rhythm again, to notice when you're tired, to accept that needing rest is not a failure, but wisdom. There is deep courage in choosing a gentler pace in a world that celebrates exhaustion, in saying no without guilt, in doing less but doing it with presence, in letting some things remain unfinished and trusting that life will still be okay. You are allowed to have seasons. A season to build, a season to give, a season to pause, a season to heal. And no season lasts forever. Perhaps the discomfort you're feeling isn't a sign to push harder, but an invitation to slow down, to come back to yourself, to remember that your worth has never been measured by your speed. So if today feels heavy, take that as a signal, not a weakness. Breathe a little deeper, move a little slower. Let this moment be enough. Life was never meant to be this rushed, and you are allowed to live it at a pace that lets your heart stay whole.
There's a quiet belief many of us carry as we grow older. It doesn't announce itself loudly, it whispers. It says that by this age, we should be stronger, wiser, more capable. That after everything we've been through, we should know how to carry the weight of life without letting it show. We tell ourselves we shouldn't need help anymore, that asking for support is a sign of weakness, that slowing down means we've failed somehow. But no one was meant to carry everything alone. Not at 30, not at 50, not at 70. I remember sitting at the kitchen table one evening, long after the house had gone quiet. The dishes were done, the lights were dim, and there was nothing left on the schedule. Yet my chest felt heavy. I couldn't point to one single problem. It was everything at once. Years of responsibility, decisions made and paths not taken, worries for people I love, the invisible load that builds slowly, one season at a time. And in that stillness, I realized how tired I truly was. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind that comes from holding too much for too long. Many of us grew up learning to be reliable. We learned to show up, to push through, to keep going no matter what. We became the ones others depended on, and somewhere along the way, we forgot that strength was never meant to be endless. We forgot that even the strongest shoulders need rest. There's a quiet kind of strength that doesn't look like standing tall or pushing forward. Sometimes strength looks like sitting down, letting your breath slow, allowing yourself to admit, even silently, that this is heavy, that you don't have to prove anything anymore, that you're allowed to set the weight down, not forever, just for now. We live in a world that celebrates endurance but rarely honors rest, a world that praises independence but often forgets connection. Yet every meaningful thing in nature knows when to pause. Trees shed their leaves, the tide pulls back, the sun sets every day without apology. Why should we be the only ones expected to keep going without rest? You don't need permission to slow down. You already earned it. You earned it through years of showing up, through mistakes survived and lessons learned the hard way, through mornings when you kept moving even when your heart felt heavy, through caring for others when no one saw how much it cost you. Slowing down is not quitting, it's listening. It's honoring the life you've lived and the body that carried you this far. And perhaps the most healing truth of all is this: you don't have to carry everything alone, not your worries, not your regrets about the future. Some things are meant to be shared with a trusted friend, a quiet moment, a deep breath, or even just the space to say, "This is enough for today." There is peace in letting the weight rest beside you instead of on your shoulders. Peace in realizing that you are not behind, you are not broken, you are human, and being human means needing rest, connection, and gentleness at every age. If you find yourself here today, listening to these words, know this: you are doing better than you think. You have already carried so much. It's okay to stop carrying it all by yourself. Take a breath, stay for a while, and remember, you were never meant to do this alone.
There's a quiet pressure many of us carry as we move through midlife and beyond. A feeling that time is running out, that we should have done more, planned better, arrived somewhere clearer by now. We replay old choices, worry about what's ahead, and measure ourselves against invisible timelines we never agreed to follow. It can leave us tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. But here's something we rarely allow ourselves to believe. Right now, you don't need to solve your whole life. You don't need a 5-year plan neatly written out. You don't need to know what comes next. You don't need to become a better version of yourself today. You only need this moment, the quiet rhythm of your breath, the fact that you're still here, still listening, still open to the possibility of peace. I remember a season when my life felt like one long to-do list. Even during moments meant for rest, my mind stayed busy, calculating, planning, worrying. One evening, after a long day, I sat alone in a dimly lit room. Nothing remarkable was happening, no breakthrough, no solution, just the soft ticking of a clock and my own breathing. And for the first time in a long while, I stopped trying to fix anything. I simply stayed. That's when it hit me. This moment wasn't lacking. I was. Not because I was broken, but because I was always somewhere else in my head. We live in a world that teaches us to believe peace comes later, after retirement, after success, after everything finally makes sense. But many of us have reached those milestones and still feel restless, still searching, still waiting for permission to feel okay. What if peace doesn't always come from changing everything? What if sometimes it comes from realizing that this moment is already enough? Enough doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean pain-free or problem-free. It means complete, just as it is. You're breathing. Your heart is still working on your behalf. You're here, listening to these words, which means some part of you still believes in gentleness. That matters more than you think. As we get older, we begin to understand something younger versions of ourselves couldn't. Life doesn't unfold in straight lines. It loops, it pauses, it surprises us, and often the moments that shape us most aren't the loud achievements, but the quiet realizations, like discovering you don't have to carry everything at once. You don't have to rush toward clarity. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to prove your worth through productivity. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sit still and allow the moment to be enough. There's a gentle strength in that kind of acceptance. It doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the fight with reality, the constant urge to be somewhere else, someone else. It means meeting yourself where you are, with kindness instead of criticism. When you allow yourself to be present, even briefly, something shifts, the noise softens, the pressure eases, and in that space, peace has a chance to appear, not as a grand revelation, but as a quiet companion. Peace might show up as a deep exhale, as sunlight across the floor, as the comfort of simply being alive on an ordinary day. And maybe that's the kind of peace we need most. So, if today feels heavy, if the future feels uncertain, if you're tired of trying to figure everything out, let this be your reminder.
You don't need to carry the whole story right now. You only need this page, this breath, this moment. Because sometimes healing doesn't begin with answers. It begins with noticing that this moment, imperfect, quiet, and unfinished, is already enough. Stay here a little longer. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're learning how to live gently. And that is more than enough.
Some days are meant to be carried slowly. You've lived long enough to know that life isn't a straight line of progress and productivity. There are seasons for building, for striving, for showing up strong. And there are seasons for simply getting through the day with gentleness. Today might be one of those days, and that's okay. I remember sitting quietly one afternoon, doing nothing at all, feeling guilty for it. The house was still, the clock ticked softly, and for the first time, I allowed the heaviness to exist without trying to fix it. No judgments, no pressure, just breath after breath. In that moment, I realized something important. Rest is not a failure, it's a form of wisdom. You don't need to catch up with anyone. You don't need to explain why you're tired. And you certainly don't need to be repaired or improved to deserve peace. Take things slowly today. Speak to yourself the way you would to someone you love, with patience, with kindness, with understanding. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to feel exactly what you feel. And most of all, you are allowed to rest, just as you are, right here, right now.